Shalom. Heavenly Father, lead me, my spirit and soul, for there are several things that are troubling my mind, my spirit, that I just have not come to grips with an understanding. And through this dialogue today, openly, I speak freely. I am my ancestors, my forefathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, far and near, living and transcended, that you would be with them the way that you are with me. I am. I wanted to do the best I can to try to be as transparent as I can about how I feel. On this day is October 28th, 11:36 a.m. I'm troubled on so many fronts. One of the things that has troubled me, Father, this morning, let me let this vehicle pass. I got the screen door open to get some of that winter breeze coming in. But one of the things that I am most troubled about this morning is the same things that are used to put people in power, the same tools, are the same very tools it seems to be used against me, the world, so to speak, because what has happened to me is a cycle that has happened to others. And I'm sure as long as these forces and these enemies allow them, for every superhero in a movie, there's villains, there's the enemy of the superheroes. And so I consider that terminology in saying that the tools that I speak of, well, what do you mean, Telon? I could easily explain. Is it true or is it not true that taxes pay the bills of those that are in power, whether they be elected, selected officials, or just voted in officials, or those that are over boards in each community? Is it true or is it true not that those taxes pay their salary and keep them in power? If you're honest with yourself, you will answer, it is true. Well, that's the flip side of the coin is, when you're being retaliated against, that is one of the tools that they first take against you. I ain't worked in years, and I'm being told, I have seen others in the past be threatened with tax lawyer letters and saying that they owe this, they owe that, and sometimes they even come after their money and their possessions. Luckily for them, the things that I speak come from my spirit and soul. I have no riches. I have no money. I've made no money. I'm probably one of the poorest individuals that speak on social media, and this I can assure you. So if I'm not making any money, why would I file taxes to say that I've made money? I haven't made no money. And so having said that, I've seen that being used as a tool against the people when they are in a process of being retaliated against, because it has happened to me. In another fashion, I have seen so many stand up and go and fight, and the first thing they'll tell you is that I take an oath to this Constitution. Well, is it true? And that's the flip side of the coin is it true or is it true not that in the Constitution it is written that those that are like me and my kind, whether you have called us Negroes, whether you have called us colored, whether you have called us natives, whether you have called us indigenous people, whether you have called us Hebrew, whether you have called us niggers, Nigers, niggas, terminology is Latin. No matter what the name, through census and history have continued to change the name, one fact remains, that it was written in your Constitution that we are somewhere in between animals and we're somewhere in between humans. We are considered 3/5 of a human being. Okay, well, let's take that notion, and these are facts based upon reality that and your history that we are taught from a very young age. So let's just run with your history. If that is to be true, at least from your point of view, some people are making arguments that would never see the light in a day in court or see it come to fruition. Not only in their lifetime, but these arguments, some of them have been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years. And still there is no light at the end of that tunnel. And some people may ask why. Well, I'm here to explain why. What you will find once you go to digging is that you were considered property to this United States of America, written by Constitution, even though there was 2 constitutions written. But let's run with the most one that everybody uses in the court of law, as well as in the judicial system, executive and legislation system. There is one that is the democracy of our Constitution, and that in itself, we are written even in that one. You know, the first one too, but that's another story. But the new Constitution, we're written as 3/5 of a human being. Well, if it is to be true that that was written and that is a law, according to your system, it was written that we're considered in between an animal and in between humans who looked like them at the time. Then you were considered property. Therefore, I have never seen any one car be able to come back and say, well, you know what, I want to take my owners to court because I didn't like the way that they painted me, or I didn't like the rims that they put on me. I've never seen a workhorse, a racehorse, a work mule, a slaughtered pig, or even a slaughtered cow be able to take their owners to court because they were considered their property. And so if you were considered, and you are, their property, then therefore you have no claims in court, no matter how legitimate that argument may be. And trust me, I in so many ways, the arguments that are faced with in today's society, they are legitimate arguments. They are legitimate arguments that you have every right to ask the question to, especially if those are the things that are driving your spirit and on your heart to do so. You have every right. But in reality and on paper, you're considered 3/5 human being. So now back to the point at hand. We're considered that in their Constitution. And if that is the case, then I'm fighting wars, and have been. My ancestors, my forefathers and mothers have been at the forefront, not only of NASA, but at the forefront of the majority of the wars that have been fought in this nation called the United States of America. My ancestors that look like me, that were considered 3/5 human being, according to your law and dictionary. Do you mean to tell me that their fight was in vain? That my ancestors fought to what they thought were an equal fight with an equal brother next to them in arms, but turned out to be on paper that they were considered 3/5 of a human being. That again, and I love to remind people, that is considered between an animal and a human. When you're 3/5, you're not even all human. Therefore, none of the things that we have created apply to you. Maybe in the first Constitution. But the second Constitution, none of the things that are written in those constitutions and words apply to you. Even those that have been written in recent times. Because those that have been written in history has never been re-gratified. They have never been rewritten or even acknowledged that they were wrong to that point. And so I say that to say this, and I hope that I will save so many people arguments moving forward in the future. Because our arguments may legitimate as they may be on the surface, in paper and in reality of these United States, according to the law system, whether it be sea law, land law, air law, according to these documents, those arguments would never see the light, justice in the light of those avenues, if you were to go and take them on. This is why it is important for me to express today how, again, going back to my point, that so many things, the same tools that are being used to place those in power. On the flip side of that coin, I can hope that the Caucasian and the European people of the world can understand there's a double-edged sword to that when it comes to us, because the same tools that used to place most in power are the same tools that are being used against you when it is time to make an example out of you, or retaliate against you, or take something from you to make sure that you are aware that we don't agree and like what you're saying or what you're putting out to the world. And how do I know this? Because I'm speaking of it from firsthand. From the moment that I came out over 6 years ago doing videos such as like this, from the moment that I spoke out in videos such as this, speaking spiritually, whether I'm reading from ancient scriptures or the more recent scriptures being the New Testament and the Old Testament, or even more ancient Bibles than that I won't even go back to speak of. I speak of them in the sense of their ancient books from my ancestor. So I've never looked at it as having a door that I can not walk in when if it feeds my soul and that's where my soul leads me, then that's where I go. I wanted to make this video today because I have placed it out into the world that I'm so not understanding the times that we are in, because our actions don't align with a lot of the things that we say. And sometimes they do. Sometimes the things that we have said, or when in angered or hurt and pain, some of the things that we say align with our actions. But, or shall I say, however, when one comes to the point in their life where things that are being said and things that are being done are not setting well with the individual, or they're not coming to an overstanding, let me turn this up a little bit, an overstanding or understanding of what is going on, they begin to find a place where they can be genuine and at least honest with themselves. So whether I end up putting this out, whether one person sees it, like the many other videos I've placed out over the 5-6 years that I've been, and some music even go back further than that, but for the most part, with my spiritual and the connectedness video. And this video is not to isolate myself out, nor is it to isolate anyone else. It's only to bring awareness of some of the battles that each of us face between spirit and flesh every day. Because flesh would tell me that in order to feed my family, I need to get up and sign up for A, B, and C. And so I get up and I sign up for A, B, and C. But on the flip side of that, until it is being used against me, I didn't see or recognize how the same things that place some in power are the same things that are being used, that will be used against you when you go to seek truth, honesty, and justice. And so it is a dilemma, and this is why I've said this for years. We're living in an old, outdated system. An outdated system because a lot of things, such as the things I've just explained, they contradict each other on the surface and at the root of its originality. And long as they contradict each other, when people come to the realization that these things contradict each other, then us as humans begin to be contradictable. When we as humans begin to be 1 foot in and 1 foot out, because some of us want to believe in this great thing that you told me was great, but the original root of this thing says that it is not what the surface is saying it is, and therefore I'm at a pull this morning with myself. And so it was very important that in these times that I feel such a way, that I record it, that I get some kind of clarity. One, I can always go back to it too. And if it was to get out and someone, just maybe one person would see this, that if and when they run into these stumbling blocks of life, these open doors and shut doors of life, these books these rabbit holes, so to speak, that they'll be going down in life. And if they ever was to come across such doors in life, that it would help them to be able to navigate, to move throughout. And it is not, again, to cause any more division, even though I don't think I'm capable of doing such a thing. I think the world, if ever was there a time to be togetherness, it would be in a time such as this, because those things that I speak of that has happened to me and my kind, those things and some of these things that I speak of, and really in reality the majority of the things that I speak of that have happened to my ancestors and my kind, now it's happening to the whole world and just about every other person in it, unless you're not a part of it. Once you're a part of it, you're a part of it. You have no choice but to keep the status quo moving. But once you're not a part of it, or you retire from it, usually people gain a conscience usually later in their retirement, when they're looking 80, 90 years in the face and in the mirror. But I don't want that to be me. I don't want to be 80 years old saying the things that I should have said in my 30s, in my 40s, in my 50s. The things that I should have spoken out about. The things that I thought might help the next person, I should have given that to the world. And that's what I'm trying to do today. And in doing that, it is important that I start speaking more frequently such a way. And it is also important that I fall back. Because again, and I'm going to close it out, I'm well over my 10 minutes. The more I had to say, the more people took from me, also took me for granted. The more they stole from me, the more they used everything that I was saying to gain profit and riches and enrich themselves. More that the world to me didn't seem like it was getting any better. It just seemed like I was being manipulated. I was being used. I was having trickery used on me. And that bothers me to the core of my soul and spirit, because I seen it even before it happened. Like God was telling me, there's a good chance that the majority of these people going to use the things that you're saying to try to come up off of what you're saying, and they are not going to recognize you. So I knew that it would happen, but also I knew that he was telling me that I need you to be an example for me. I need you to be a modern today of what some of your ancestors was in the past. And that's an example for me, a tool for me in my tool belt. No matter what you may see in this world, no matter how politics, wars, no matter what may even come to your personal life, I still need to use you in such a way to shed light in dark places of this world. And in the process of that, you will get, these things will happen to you. And not only that, I have shown you in history, and trust me, it was a good 7-8 years where it was nothing but study. So much so that a lot of it stick. So much so that nowadays I don't even have to open up the books. So much so that nowadays I don't even have to go back and look at notes anymore that have stuck. And what have stuck is not just the knowledge, but the experience through history that our ancestors, not just those of my kind, but all people, ancestors, have left behind to teach them lessons that were to come in the future. And so I am grateful for that. I'm grateful for having the time to sit back and reflect. The more time that I had, the more in depth and knowledge I was able to dig and grow. I am grateful for that. I am grateful for those who knew that some things were happening to me, that came around me to protect me, even though they wanted to come close to me. I could feel them at a distance protecting me. I could feel them at a distance making sure that certain things didn't happen to me, even though a lot of things did happen to me. So in those moments, I was wondering where they at, but I knew that they were still there. I know that it was some big fish that might needed to be fried out there in the world that might come. And I knew that there were certain big fish that were, hovering and looking over me. And I'm grateful to God for sending angels of unseen powers and angels with seen powers from humans to actually surround and shield all that is good in his world, not just me, but all that is good in his world, all people. And I don't think they just come in one color. I don't think that they are just one animal. I don't think it's just one part of the world. I don't think it's just, I think that if our creator, which not if, our creator that is connected to all have created all, then all is his baby, his creation, from Mother Earth to all of its creation upon it. From the galaxies to the stars, sun, and moon that we look up to every day. So, in having said that, I would like to say peace and shalom. If this is to get out, and it is just to reach one person's ear, I would hope that you have an ear to actually hear that the distractions of everyday hustle and bustle, wear and tear is not distracting you enough from hearing the message. I would hope that instead of looking at it visually, you would even put some headphones on and close out what you're seeing. More so focus on what you're hearing. Us as human beings, we have this narrow mindset that they would much rather stare at what things that they want to critique about you versus seeing you. And when I say see you, I mean actually seeing you. When they want to more so critique and analyze you, they look for things to do so. And in the process of that, I think sometimes they miss actually hearing you, and seeing who you are. And so those who actually pick this up, if I were ever to put it out, those of you to actually hear it, I will hope that you have an ear to hear it, an eye to actually see it, and a heart to actually receive it. And not everybody's heart is in that place of receiving things that they know not, or things that they may have never heard of or about. Not everybody's heart is in a good place, and I pray that everybody's heart will find that place to where they're open to and accepting to knowledge. Most importantly, the spirit of the Most High. If nothing else, have a blessed day until the next time we do this. Peace. Shalom.